What if you became immune to the fear of disappointment? What then? Hey, Creating Maven. I'm Joy Spencer, your Reframe specialist, with one important message. Your real work, it's not your job or your career. Your real work is what you create. And what you create is what sets you apart and makes you incomparable. It's your legacy. I'm here to show you a whole new way of working so you can create with your gifts, make a unique contribution, and finally get paid to be yourself. This is Reframe to Create. I'm the worst person to hype up a movie to. Do not do it. Ask any of my friends. They've been on the other end of my very unimpressed face after they talked up, really talked up a movie or a show. And I finally see it and I'm like, And now this is not, trust me, this is not because I have extremely high standards and refined tastes in the arts. No, not at all. One of my favorite shows is Zoo, which is this crazy series about how all the animals in the world develop the defiant eye and they all band together, attack human beings. And then there's like this ragtag group of like a veterinarian, a French Secret Service agent, and a number of other characters who fly around the world in a plane, which we never figure out how that plane keeps getting refueled while the world is collapsing. But anyway, and they fly around trying to solve this mystery and get the planet back on track. So it's a hot mess of a plot. It's got lots of plot holes and probabilities and all of that. And I'm not ashamed to say that I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. And I was not hate watching it either. I really enjoyed the show. So my disappointment with hyped up shows does not come from high taste. It's just that my imagination can get away and ahead of reality. Like when I first saw the trailer for the show The Americans, which stars Kerry Russell, I thought it was going to be a show about the not too distant future where America had become communist. So imagine my utter disappointment when I discovered it was just another 1980s Cold War show. Womp womp, So I refused to watch it for years because I was disappointed initially. And then I actually doubled back and watched it many years later. And it's actually really, really good. So you should watch it if you get a chance. The show deserves all the awards that they got. It was just essentially the mismatch between expectations and reality. And isn't that one of the things that we're all afraid of in life? You know what I'm talking about. Disappointment. Even the sound of the word disappointment is so disappointing and nobody likes to feel disappointed. Think about the last time you had high hopes, like really high hopes and high expectations for something or something you expected to happen and then it was dashed, like how that felt in your stomach and your body. Maybe you found a job that looked like it was, just what you'd been looking for and you applied, you go through rounds and rounds of interviews. It looks like it's going well and then you don't get the job. Or maybe you meet someone, you go on a few dates, it's going well, you think maybe, and then fizzle goes out of the sizzle. You have so many of these stories. I have so many of these stories. High hopes crashing into reality, and it leaves you holding the bag of disappointment. This type of thing really bites. And after a while, it can feel safer to not get your hopes up. It can feel safer to not dream at all. It can feel safer to hug the walls, stay away from the center where maybe that's where all the action is happening, but that's also where you're seeing people fall around, get hurt, and get all bloodied up. And you just want to be safe after a while. Disappointments can turn us into our own dream killers. We don't even want to dream anymore. Before the dream has a chance to sprout its little head, we've, yanked it up by its roots out of the ground before it can grow. And we do this in the name of being realistic and responsible, adults. But it's really just fear. We're just scared. And I get it. But what is this thing that we're doing? Why are we making disappointment such a big boogeyman in our lives? You've probably even experienced other people trying to manage your own expectations about something and then saying, it's because they don't want you to be disappointed. Even other people are trying to protect you from this thing. That's why they say you shouldn't dream too big or stretch too high, for that thing or whatever it is. We really will do anything to avoid this feeling of disappointment. Well, I think that's a huge mistake. And I keep seeing people make it over and over again. I've seen this in so many coaching sessions with clients. I'll often ask a client what they want or what the dream is. And they're so afraid of being disappointed that they become afraid of their dreams. They say things like, oh, well, this thing, I want this thing, but I don't think I can have it. I don't think it's going to happen because the last time I tried ABC, XYZ happened and LMNOP, et cetera, et cetera. They almost start to associate dreaming with disappointment itself. And they try to shut that whole thing down right from the get-go. It takes asking so many questions to help them to peel back and move past this. But I'm able to bring them along, but it takes time and it takes a while to bring some people to a place where they can dream again. I think it's time for a reframe on this. It's time we not merely stop trying to temper disappointment, which would be a great first step, but it's time to run toward and even embrace disappointment, because disappointment is a part of life. I'm not even going to lie to you and say, be brave, be bold, and you'll never be disappointed in your life again. That is not true, and not what I'm trying to say here. Disappointment is real. It's here. It stings, and it's not going away. But it's not something that we should try to avoid, deny, or suppress because of that. And this is why. In our attempts to avoid disappointment, we will kill our dreams. It's the collateral damage. We will become our own dream killers. So I'm not really trying to get you to be a sucker for punishment and intentionally look for disappointments in life, but rather to go bigger on your dreams in the face of the threat of disappointment. I'm trying to get you to focus more on your dreams than you do the fear of being disappointed, because disappointment is what we make it mean. And often we're making it mean all these terrible things about ourselves, like we're failures, or life is out to get us, or we'll never achieve this or that thing, or any other catastrophe that we come up with. It becomes so big and so massive and overwhelming because we attach all this bigness to it, and we attach it to our identities. We make it be and say things about us and who we are. And that makes us feel this deep sense of shame about our disappointments. But what if we got a reframe? Because I think it's important to get a reframe on this. If we're going to get the courage that we've been leaking out of our lives, if we're going to get that courage back, that courage that we need to keep on being here and being here fully in a way where we are joyfully discovering and creating with our gifts and offering that in service without fear. We need a reframe on disappointment that's really a reframe on the purpose of dreams. I wrote about this years ago, and I think it's worth repeating and restating some of those thoughts here. First, the act of dreaming has inherent value, and this means something very surprising. It means that all of our dreams do not have to come true. I know. You already know and fear this fact that all of your dreams won't come true. But this reframe is to let you know that that's okay. They don't have to come true. That's not what all dreams are for. What? Think about it. In fact, think about 6-year-old you. See yourself sitting there, standing there, or whatever 6-year-old you used to do and get up to. And think about you with your wild, wild, wild imagination. Even if you had 1,000 lifetimes, you wouldn't have been able to scratch the surface of beginning to live out all the dreams you came up with just in that 1 year of life. And that's beautiful. As a kid, you weren't concerned with this or trying to temper this. You weren't worried that some of those dreams couldn't or wouldn't come true, even as you were dreaming them up on the heels of ditching some of the dreams you'd had as a 5-year-old and that hadn't come true. You weren't curling up in a heap, crying about the dreams as of yet unfulfilled and what it meant and, oh, the disappointment. But now, as an adult, you're trying to equalize the ratio. You're trying to bring your dream numbers and size down to minimize them to what you think you can realistically accomplish. Bah humbug. That's not what they're for. I often say that creating is to the soul what breathing is to the body. Well, I think the same is true for dreaming. Dreams are to the soul what breathing is to the body. And for this reason, we need them to also be constant, steady, and ever present to keep that part of us alive. There's something else we can learn about dreams by looking at breathing. And it's that regardless of the outcome, we never dismiss breathing as a failure because it didn't attain a specific goal. If you go through your day and you used your breath to engage in a meaningful conversation at one point, then you go on into an argument with a family member, then you took breaths between bites of a yummy meal, at no point would you say that breathing had been a failure. Even if you'd spent a day in complete silence, you wouldn't say, wow, this breathing thing, what a waste. What did it accomplish? No, you wouldn't, because every single breath would have been doing something important, keeping you alive. Just like your breathing, dreams should not be judged on any particular outcome other than the gift of keeping your soul alive and vibrant by the sheer fact of its presence. The dream itself, apart from its fulfillment, is itself enough of a gift. All of your dreams don't have to come true. And if you can dream them without this fearful demand and expectation, you can get a kind of freedom to dream, and you can get that freedom back that you probably haven't had since you were a kid. You can be free to dream again and dream freely. But even though that's the inherent value of the gift of dreams, and we should be grateful for that, that's not all dreams do. They do even more. Dreams help us to take action. You always dream before you move. Think about it. You imagine, you plan, you see it, and then you take steps towards it. Dreams don't just keep your spirit excited, vibrant, and alive. They help get your hands and feet moving. Dreams haven't just helped you get going. They've kept you going in the hardest and darkest of times. This is why dreaming is so important. Even the seemingly insignificant dreams that die in your disappointment or that change and evolve into something else, they're all helping you get and keep moving. You need all of your dreams, the big ones, the small ones, the ones that come true, the ones that don't, the ones that change, and the ones that change you. You need all of them to help you keep moving along, to keep you discovering and creating beautiful things and experiences with your gifts. Not all of your dreams will or must come true. I hope you know that this is not a bad thing. It's not a sad thing. It's not a disappointment. It's not a failure. And just as you must keep breathing in order to physically stay alive, you've got to have the courage to keep dreaming in order to keep that vibrant, excited part of your soul alive. After all, if dreams are to our soul what breathing and seeing are to our bodies, then what's the need for disappointment at a different outcome than what you originally planned? There isn't any. Right now, you've got dreams of things you want to create, and maybe you've been afraid to move towards them because you're so afraid you're going to be disappointed. Let me help you. You're going to be disappointed. That dream is not going to match the reality. And so what? So What? That's life. You've gone through disappointments before and you didn't die. You've gone through disappointments before, and as long as you didn't catastrophize your entire life and impale yourself on them, you're okay. You'll be disappointed. It's okay. You'll be fine. Worse than disappointment that your dream doesn't pan out exactly how you imagine it is the regret of not even trying. So how about we focus less on the outcomes you want to achieve and the disappointments you want to avoid, and more on the person you want to be? Don't you want to be the person who keeps dreaming and moving even after you've been disappointed? I know you do. It's all learnings, lessons, and gifts, my creating maven. You don't have to be afraid of the school of life. One of the ways I love to help my clients get out of this fear of dreaming trap is to take them digging for treasure in their resume. Why there, you ask? Because it's got so much gold of dreams they've already dreamed and made come true, but they've forgotten, and I help them to remember. When we go digging through the resume excavation, my clients come out on the other side, seeing things and themselves and what they've done in a completely new way. And it gives them their power back. It gives them themselves back. If you want this for yourself, then book your session at reframetocreate.com/resume-excavation. Let this be the year you get your power to dream and create with your gifts back. See you soon, Creating Maven. Until then, remember to always ask yourself, what will I create?